The CIA had planned COVID-19 since 2005. Is the coronavirus pandemic the evil work of man? Many have believed this by referring to an epilogue economic war of the long conflict between China and the United States. Donald Trump and his team were then singled out. A priori, reading the book titled, The CIA Report, What Will the World Be in 2020? Presented by Alexandre Adler and edited by Robert Laffont in France seems to support this hypothesis of human conspiracy. However, by carefully analyzing the extract from the book talking about the coronavirus, the CIA denies human intervention in the formation of COVID-19. But when you know that the report from which the book was written in September 2005, the hypotheses and other comments no longer hold water. According to Roman Blaze's criticism, this work is taken from the report of the enormous work carried out by an American think tank effectively in direct connection with the American Intelligence Center, with the Pentagon and with the State Department, the National Intelligence Council or NIC, i.e., National Intelligence Council, www.cia.gov/inc. This document written by 25 academics and other international experts, and initially called the Map of the Future World, 2020 Project Report, was developed with the aim of providing avenues of reflection and action for American leaders for the next 15 years. It is therefore since 2005 that the Americans had planned for 2020 the possibility of a coronavirus pandemic resulting from a mutation of existing viruses. Unimaginable, the prospects made by these researchers are above all appalling. They speak of hundreds of millions of deaths by 2025. Below are large extracts from the book. The possible outbreak of a global pandemic. The emergence of a new, highly contagious virulent human respiratory disease for which there is no adequate treatment could trigger a global pandemic. If such a disease appears, by 2025, internal and cross-border tensions and conflicts are bound to explode. Indeed, nations will then strive, with insufficient capacity, to control the movements of populations seeking to avoid infection or preserve their access to natural resources. The appearance of a pandemic depends on the natural genetic mutation, the recombination of viral strains already in circulation or the emergence of a new pathogenic factor in the human population. Experts see highly pathogenic strains of avian influenza such as H5N1 as likely candidates for this type of transformation, but other pathogens, such as the SARS coronavirus and various strains of influenza, have similar properties. If a pandemic disease is declared, it will undoubtedly be in a densely populated area, with close proximity between humans and animals, as there is in China and in Southeast Asia where populations live in contact with livestock. Unregulated farming practices would promote the circulation of a virus like H5N1 among animal populations, increasing the chances of mutation of a strain that could cause a pandemic. To spread quickly, it is enough for the disease to appear in regions with high human density. In such a scenario, the disease would take a long time to be identified and the country of origin would not have the means to detect it. It would take weeks for laboratories to provide final results confirming the existence of a disease that could mutate into a pandemic. Meanwhile, outbreaks are reported in cities in Southeast Asia. Despite restrictions on international travel, travelers with few or no symptoms could carry the virus to other continents. More and more patients are reported, with new cases appearing every month. Lack of an effective vaccine or immunity in the rest of the world would expose populations to contagion. In the worst case, it is from 10 to several hundred million Westerners who contract the disease, and the dead are killed. Would count by tens of millions. In the rest of the world, the degradation of vital infrastructure and global economic loss is believed to cause the infection of a third of the world's population and the death of hundreds of millions of people. Note: research centers in the United States and around the world are working on developing vaccines capable of preventing or limiting influenza pandemics. A positive result in the coming years would reduce the risk of such a pandemic for the decades to come. The rate of spread of the disease, the number of patients, the duration of their illness, the death rate, the symptoms, and the after effects of the infection will vary according to the specific characteristics of the pathogenic factor responsible for the pandemic. This scenario is based on plausible characteristics compatible with these variables.